Hang on, it's
Oh,
connecting.
Hi! This is very exciting.
Hello, welcome anybody who's watching this live. This is a Q&A on nutrition tonight. We are super lucky to have Beth here, who is a nutritionist, and she's going to help us in lockdown, particularly me with all of my snack cupboard cravings and eating all of the kids' sweets. I've eaten more chocolate recently than I've ever eaten in probably the past year. And she's going to answer all those kind of burning questions that we have at the moment on how to kind of keep our healthy immune systems and tell us, you know, kind of how nutrition is going to affect our mood and our mental health and our gut and all those good things. So anybody with any questions, you can just pop them into kind of the box and they'll come through on StreamYard, which is we're using. So I'm going to disappear off the screen because you don't want to hear from me anyway. We want the expert. And I'm going to hand over to Beth. So just give me a moment.
Well, hi everyone. Isn't this exciting? I just want to say a big thank you to Claire for inviting me on. It's a real kind of privilege to speak this evening. And thanks to those who are listening live, because it is 8 p.m. and you could be doing something else, watching Netflix, having dinner. So thank you for spending the evening with us. Hopefully it's going to be a really interesting evening for you. So you're probably wondering who I am. Well, I'll introduce myself. My name is Beth Edwards. I'm the founder of Beth Edwards Nutrition, which is a clinic that focuses on supporting health and well-being. And I'm a registered nutritional therapist, and I'm a massive fan of intuitive eating, which essentially means really tuning into our own bodies, our own hunger needs, and really honouring that. So it's a no-nonsense approach, no fads, no judgment. We just take a look after you and support you. So my background actually is in psychology. So I trained in health psychology as well. So my clinic tends to blend psychology, the emotional side of eating, and the physical side. So when you come and see me, I don't just view you as a bundle of cells and look at your biochemistry. I'll also look to you as a person and see what's going on for you in the context of your life and how you want to live it. I also have type 1 diabetes myself, which is an autoimmune condition. And this really kind of got me interested in nutrition and the power of food. That sort of led me down into my nutrition studies and my psychology studies. And so I specialise in type 1 diabetes, but I also look at people who've got a range of autoimmune disorders, perhaps a thyroid condition. I have supported people who are looking for perhaps weight loss and some fatigue management, perhaps anybody who's got some funny periods, lack of periods, painful periods. I've helped people in that way as well. So kind of a range of things I can help support. So I think this evening Claire's got some questions. She's going to pop in and out and ask them as we go through. But if you have any, please do let me know on the way through.
Brilliant. Okay, so one of the really big problems I'm having at the moment, so working at home, looking after the kids, I'm snacking all the time. And it's not like I'm bored because I'm really busy because I've got all the housework to do now. But for some reason, I just keep thinking about eating. And so I've been trying to eat lots of things like rice cakes. I've gone through 3 tubs of Philadelphia cheese in a week, the big tubs. And
no judgment here.
With a little bit of smoked salmon on top. Okay, so not all bad, but it could be worse, couldn't it? It could be Nutella. I've resisted baking with the kids until yesterday, and we did scones yesterday, but I've been resisting it because I thought I'm just going to keep eating it. So I would really kind of love to know and I'm still eating 3 meals as well, and I'm doing some exercise because I'm live streaming my classes, but I'm probably not as active as I was. So I don't know, what do I do? Because I'm going to be huge, and by the time lockdown is over, if I keep going like this.
See, I think I saw a really funny meme and it sort of said, I'm either going to come out of lockdown as an athlete, or I think it was like 50 pounds extra in weight or something. So I think that sentiment is shared by lots, actually, Claire, to be honest. And I think that the main concern around it, or not concern, but the main thing is that we just have so much more proximity to our kitchens now. So it's not that we're actually perhaps moving more, need more energy. It's more that it's just there. And perhaps actually you were sort of saying that genuinely is a hunger for you as well. So it's not just that you're bored or you're distracted. There is a genuine hunger there too. But it's thinking about how can we get smart with those snacks. So rice cakes are a big favourite of mine. But you might also want to think about some oat cakes, because if you switch the rice cake for the oat cake, you immediately get loads more fibre. You get a bit of protein in there, which is really good for helping you to stay fuller for longer. And then on top of that, I would have some Philadelphia from time to time, but perhaps think about a nut butter, which is full of some really nice proteins, really nice fats. And it's all about, we talk about this concept in nutrition, which is called blood sugar balancing, which you may have heard about. And it's the idea that if we have meals and snacks that are based around all three macronutrients, so I'm talking about carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, we know that that's going to actually keep our blood sugars nice and stable throughout the day, rather than them peaking and troughing. If we just have kind of simple carbohydrates without any protein or fat, we tend to sort of do this, and then we drop low and get hungry, and then we spike up again. So we're looking for snacks and meals that have a nice combination of all of those things. So a rice cake is lovely. An oat cake is perhaps a little bit kind of more nutritious if you're thinking about how can I get the most nutrients in a snack. Some nut butters are great, maybe some hummus, because again, you've got the nice plant-based protein going on there. A little bit of fat and really nice fats in the virgin olive oil, so it kind of slows everything down in terms of blood sugar spiking. And that's just a nice kind of snack to have, maybe some crudités as well, so you're getting some nice veggies in there. If you are thinking about baking, I actually think it's a really nice thing to do because you get the kids involved. I find it really therapeutic to kind of beat some eggs or beat some butter and sugar. I just find that really, really therapeutic for me. But I do hear you, when you have a big cake and you've got to get through it, it can be too much to eat. So I actually freeze my cake. So I'll kind of separate it into portions. Ooh. Because I just think we really should be enjoying our food as best we can. And a bit of cake now and again, nutritionist approved, I think is fine. So actually, I love a banana loaf. So making a really nice banana loaf, slicing it up and then freezing, say 3/4 of it. And the rest you and your family can have when it's fresh. And then if you sort of separate them into portions, and I cling film mine and wrap them separately, you can just get a slice out each time you want to have a single portion.
Oh, that's a great idea, isn't it? So those batches gone, I need to freeze some of them then in that case. So it stops us eating them all the time. My husband is a celiac, so he doesn't eat them either. So that doesn't help things.
Oh, it's all down to you.
It's all down to me and the kids, and we didn't make them gluten-free because we wanted to enjoy them, and sometimes gluten-free can be a bit dry. Yeah. That's a really good idea, and I hadn't really thought about the nut butters. I mean, we've normally got peanut butter, Nutella, those type of things, but actually having something a little bit different, then that's probably a really good idea, because I'm kind of halfway there with the rice cakes and the corn cakes. I'm obviously just eating too much cream cheese on them at the moment, so I've got to kind of cut back a little bit there. And in terms of, at the moment, obviously getting deliveries for food and everything like that's quite tricky, and going out to the supermarket. What are the kind of the stock things that you've got in your freezer that you really think, they're really great must-haves, and they're kind of something that you kind of throw into any kind of meal for ease?
I have to say, I love freezer foods, to be honest. And when I say freezer foods, I don't mean kind of ready meals, but I do mean things you can put in your freezer. And because quite often, a lot of the fruit and veg that are frozen, well, first of all, they're cheaper for starters. Secondly, there's no risk of them going off, so there's no issue around waste. And then thirdly, they often can be more nutrient dense than fresh food because so they're picked and frozen quicker than some of the fresh stuff you might get in the produce aisle of your local supermarket. So I'll just take you on a journey through my freezer.
Great.
The staples I always have will be frozen berries of some sort. So blueberries are my favorite. Blueberries are really high in antioxidants, so great for any kind of inflammation in the body, any free radicals that are going around. They can just wipe all of that up. So I always have blueberries in there. Really handy for throwing in some porridge, perhaps putting in a smoothie, maybe putting in a pancake batter. So I probably have blueberries at least twice a day, because they can be in my porridge and they can be for my pudding at the end of the day if I fancy something sweet. So, but you could have any berries. You could have some strawberries, some cherries, black currants work quite nicely too. I always have frozen cauliflower. So I think cauliflower has kind of gone on a bit of a journey from being quite boring to actually sort of being propelled into the limelight. It feels like cauliflower is now the king of the vegetables.
Yeah, and I do. I actually buy frozen cauliflower rice, and I use that as an alternative instead of rice.
Oh, lovely.
And the thing is that when I try to do something a bit more kind of, exciting with the cauliflower, I tried to do a roasted Indian style cauliflower the other day that my husband like have one mouthful of, and he was like, no, that's disgusting. So what, I would love to know what else I can do with the cauliflower, because I think you're right. It's a really underrated vegetable, and it's a really cheap one as well, isn't it? And actually, in a curry and things, I think it's really great, but I don't know what else to do with it. And cauliflower rice, sometimes I feel like you need to add quite a bit to it to give it a bit of flavour.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the great things about cauliflower in terms of nutrients is they're really high in fibre, really high in vitamin C, which is really important right now. We're thinking about immunity.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and also in K, vitamin K too, really good for bones and supporting vitamin D manufacturing. So really, really important nutrient, important vegetable rather. And again, it's what we call a cruciferous vegetable, which is all about supporting your liver and helping detoxification pathways. So again, just a real good all-rounder. So I think in curries is a great shout. Something else I've started to do is I'll actually take out the cauliflower maybe half an hour before I want to use it. And I'm now putting mine into a smoothie. So yeah, so one of my clients recently came to me saying she just didn't like bananas and she couldn't tolerate bananas. What was she going to do about her smoothies? And I said, well, let's just try cauliflower because it offers the same kind of consistency, but it's not a banana. And you actually...
This frozen cauliflower, are they frozen cauliflower pieces?
Yes, the florets.
And they're not cooked?
Not cooked.
Okay.
Sorry, some of them you can buy cooked, some you can buy raw. So it depends, you can choose. But then you just blitz it up in your smoothie and you can't taste it, but it does give that really nice consistency and texture. And again, another sort of fruit and veg portion in there, and it's a cruciferous one, which is a really, really good all-rounder for health and immunity.
Gosh, I would never have thought to put cauliflower in a smoothie, but I'm one of those people who actually doesn't like bananas that much either. So I don't tend to go for a smoothie for that reason, because they're all banana based, aren't they? This is a revelation for me tonight. I don't know if anybody else is going to get a look in with the questions. I need to be writing these things down. I don't have any frozen berries in the freezer. I do have lots of frozen vegetables at the moment, but I don't normally. But at the moment, I do. And now I've got cauliflower rice, but I'm going to buy cauliflower. And absolutely, smoothie sounds great. Especially if you can't cook it, but you don't cook it, do you? Before you put it in the smoothie, you just finish it raw. Okay, fine, but you do defrost it.
I do a little bit. It doesn't need to be completely defrosted, but when you get it out and it's just freezer fresh, it's too hard to blend. But give it 30 minutes, you'll be fine. Yeah. Right. And the other,
with the berries, you've got cauliflower. What else? What else is in your freezer?
Peas. I mean, they are a staple, of course. Peas. But I actually throw a handful of mine into a stir fry, which again sounds a bit radical. It's a bit different. I love pea. But peas are great and they cook super quickly, super easy to eat. Again, just all round good veg. Get extra portions in there. And I also throw them a couple of handfuls into a curry now and again. So it's about how can we get as many fruit and veg portions into our diet as possible. And I know that people talk about kind of 5 portions of fruit and veg a day. I would say we're looking more around 7 to 9.
Wow.
So, and I think the best way to do that is thinking about perhaps a smoothie a day where you can actually get much more fruit and veg in there, but it's not so dense to eat or drink. But again, thinking about how can we add extra portions into a meal that may not necessarily have as many veg in as we would like. So curry is a really good way to actually layer in more vegetables.
Okay. Oh, I'm definitely, I love a pea. I put peas in everything. I'm addicted to peas in our house. If you get a stir fry, if you get a curry, if you get anything you get in our house, you get peas with it. And so they don't always go, but they've just got so used to seeing peas in everything. The fact they're lovely bright green, aren't they? So they just add a bit of colour as well and make it look really appetizing. I've got a quick question from Sarah, and she's asking about kind of foods that might help us with our mood at the moment. Because obviously we're all in lockdown, aren't we? We might be feeling a bit, a bit anxious. The world is quite an uncertain place at the moment, and we don't actually know what the world will be at the end of this. And so we think, we might be comfort eating, like me reaching for the kids' snacks. Is there anything kind of that might make us feel good from a food perspective?
Yes, I'm so happy to say this, but yes, there are definite things we can do to think about foods for mood. Absolutely. So I'll talk a little bit about something called tryptophan. Now, this is an amino acid, which is essentially a building block of protein. And tryptophan is needed to help make our happy hormone, to help us make serotonin. So you may have heard of serotonin before, but a precursor to making that is tryptophan. So some really nice rich tryptophan foods would be things like turkey, eggs, almonds, oats, cottage cheese, actually. So get that Philadelphia back out. Yeah, so things like that. Some nuts and seeds as well. But your sort of main sources would be turkey, almonds, eggs, and bananas to a lesser extent. And that is just a really nice thing to think about when you're thinking, how can I get more tryptophan into my diet? So that's the kind of first thing. The second thing just to bear in mind with that is when we want tryptophan, it's basically got to cross what we call the blood-brain barrier to get into our brains to help make that neurotransmitter of serotonin, which happens in the brain and happens in the gut as well. So you actually need a carbohydrate to be paired with your tryptophan-rich food to make sure that we're helping tryptophan get into the brain. So you might want to have
so a turkey burger.
A turkey burger, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Or again, my favorite, oat cakes, once again. Oat cakes and perhaps some tahini, because it's got some lovely sesame seeds on there, which again, have got a little bit of tryptophan in there. So it's thinking about pairing some carb-rich foods, some nice carbs, complex carbs, with those sort of turkeys, eggs, cottage cheese, bananas, almonds. So thinking along those lines to give you some rough ideas. The other thing you want to be thinking about with food and mood is something called magnesium. So again, this is a mineral that we have in our diet. It's super important. It's involved in around 300 interactions in the body. So it's really important, and it can be depleted at times of stress. Hello, isolation. Hello, coronavirus. So again, it's thinking about how can we best get magnesium in our diet. Leafy greens are your go-to here. So some really nice spinach leaves, some broccoli, other sort of leafy greens you might have in a salad, watercress.
What about frozen spinach? Is that okay? Does that count? Yeah. It does. Okay.
It does. Yeah, that's perfect. Again, some dark chocolate would be a nice source. Ooh. So it's, yeah, exactly. So again, thinking about having those kind of maybe chocolate fixes we're looking for, I would suggest, don't stop having the chocolate that you love, but if you could perhaps tolerate some of the higher cacao percentages, perhaps 70% dark chocolate, that's a nice way to go because it's a real rich flavor, but it's also got magnesium in there, which is kind of what we're looking for. So thinking a little bit about magnesium as well is a good place to go. And then I think the other thing that's super important to focus on is gut health. Okay. So gut health, we're all talking about it, but for good reason. So the serotonin that I mentioned earlier, that neurotransmitter, up to 90% is actually made in our gut. Which is,
oh my goodness. Yeah. Gosh, our gut really kind of controls our mood in that case, doesn't it? I mean, I'm one of those people, I have to eat all the time, otherwise I'm a nightmare. And if I'm really moody, it's because I haven't eaten. And everyone around me knows that because they know what I'm like, but I never knew. So that kind of makes sense now that you say that, but I never knew that. That is fantastic. Oh my God, that's blown my mind.
Yeah, what I'll often say to my clients is the gut is not like Las Vegas. What happens in the gut does not stay in the gut. It goes everywhere. So if you have an upset stomach or an upset gut and you've got what we call dysbiosis, which is essentially when you've got an imbalance of good bacteria versus bad bacteria, the rest of your body is going to know about it. So that's why often we'll feel that kind of, say if you've got anxiety, you might have butterflies in your tummy, or conversely, if your tummy's not very well, it can affect your mood. That's because we have a bi-directional messaging service between our brain and our gut, which we're only just sort of coming to properly understand. And I think as research evolves, we'll actually know so much more and realize the gut is so important in our health across the body. So thinking about gut health, I have this kind of idea of the trio of glory, basically. So when you're thinking about gut health, you really want to be feeding those good bacteria, making sure they're nice and happy and keeping them where they want to be. So you want to keep them in your gut. It's like a house party. You want a really good house party, good music, keep those gut dancers in there, basically, and enjoying themselves. So the three things you want to think about are fiber. That just really helps feed the bacteria. It's a really good way to kind of make sure that we're passing a daily stool, if not a twice daily stool. It helps just eliminate things, and it basically clears out the gut. So fibre is super important. We're thinking about fruit and veg there. Lots of pulses, things like flaxseed, black beans are a really good source of fibre. So that's kind of where we're looking to. But then we're also thinking about probiotic rich foods. So this is actually live cultures you might consume that then kind of repopulate our guts. So we're basically adding more party goers to that party. So we're thinking like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso. So miso soup or a miso paste we can put on potatoes or some vegetables to roast. We're thinking of live yogurt as a great source and very accessible. Perhaps kefir, which people might have heard of, which is a kind of fermented yogurt.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's got quite an acquired taste, but once you get your head around it and your tummy around it, it's a really, really good source of really rich probiotics.
Do you know, you just mentioned sauerkraut, and at the moment, Germany have the highest number of coronavirus cases, but actually they have the least kind of number of fatalities, don't they? And I wonder, I was thinking about this yesterday, I was talking to my husband and I said, they eat a lot of sauerkraut and that's really good for you from a probiotic perspective, isn't it? And so from what you've just said, it's made me think about that again, actually. It's the fact that they have such a diet rich in those type of kind of things, foods. Because I mean, we never eat sauerkraut or anything like that in our house, but now it's pickled cabbage, isn't it? Or it's fermented, cabbage, isn't it?
Yeah,
might go and try it now, or maybe a gherkin.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the German cases of coronavirus. That's really interesting. I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, possibly.
I could have got the answer here, couldn't I? I might need to tweet that.
tweet that. But the only thing to say about that, just quickly, is that lots of things that we take as pickles, for example, like the gherkins, quite often they have already been pasteurized, which means that actually a lot of the good stuff is probably gone. Yeah, just to kind of flag that. So it's really nice to find
your own then. Well, okay, what are we doing in lockdown at the moment? We could be pickling our own gherkins, couldn't we?
Exactly, pickling our own gherkins and having a wild time.
Making our own ginger beer and exploding.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never tried that. And one question that's just come in from Rachel: any kind of recipe, meal ideas, kind of ways to throw together, kind of quick meals? She's saying that basically, she's just cooking the same old stuff, and it's actually getting a bit boring. And we need a bit of we can't go out to eat. I mean, you can't even get takeaway where I live either, or anything. And not that I feel like I should be doing that. But at the same time, I agree with her. Meals are getting a bit dull in our house as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, actually, there are some really nice recipes online that I'll point you towards. So there's someone called the Mother Cooker, and I actually use quite a lot of her stuff for inspiration for me because it's really simple food done really nicely. And she might just kind of have a couple of things that are unusual that sort of twist a menu or twist a meal.
So and is it Mother Cooker? Is in www.mothercooker. I'm just going to put it in.
Yeah, just have a little look. It might pop up, but it's definitely the Mother Cooker. And if you just Google that, she'll come up. But she's got some lovely ideas. But again, it's thinking about kind of how can we best utilize spices, different herbs. So for me, like if I've got a salad, that can be quite dull. I have to be honest. I am a nutritionist, but that can be quite dull. So you've got to think about how can you pimp out your salads? How can you pimp out your stews and your curries? So I'm always looking towards things like parsleys, thyme. These can be dried or fresh, but fresh preferably. But if you can't get it fresh, we can be creative.
Can you freeze fresh herbs or no? You can. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Again, I've got a freezer full of them. So the only thing with that, again, is just make sure you chop them and put them in their own separate bag. Okay. I have previously just thrown a sort of packed Sainsbury's bag in there, and it never ends well. So you have to get it out, chop it, and then put it in your own sandwich bag and freeze it that way. So you can grab handfuls. But it's things like some lemon is really nice. Think about how lemon can kind of add to a tomato stew, how it can add to a salad. It's thinking about kind of salad dressings as well. So my husband and I often will have a salad every single lunchtime now. It can be quite dull, but we're sort of using different salad dressings to kind of change that a little bit. And we're roasting a lot of vegetables too. So it might be that your vegetables can be your base every lunch. So roast off some nice veggies on Sunday. That could be some sweet potatoes, some butternut squash, onions, garlic, things like that. Maybe put some thyme on there as well. Roast all of that off. balsamic vinegar is a nice one there. And that can be your base. Then you could have some quinoa, and again, just put through some parsley, some coriander, whatever you fancy and whatever you can buy right now, some lemon juice. So then you've got kind of two nice bases. Then you could alternate a protein source. So you could have, fried halloumi on one day, maybe a tin of sardines, tin of mackerel. They're really, really great right now. Omega-3s, also a nice link there with improving mood. So any kind of small canned fish, so sardines, anchovies, mackerel, herring, things like that. And then you can rotate your sort of topping, as it were. So you've got some nice solid bases, and then you can just mix and change and alternate, your protein source. So that might be a nice way throughout the week of thinking, well, I've got this already. I haven't got to spend every night cooking, but I can have a different meal every night. So it's thinking about yeah,
absolutely. And Lucy's just asked, what do you suggest as a quick fix instead of sugar when she's super tired, she needs energy, and she's had a night of no sleep with a baby?
Oh gosh, that sounds difficult. I feel for you, Lucy. Well, a banana is my first go-to there, because you are getting a little bit of sugar in there. So a nice little sweet hit of fructose, perhaps a banana, a bit of peanut butter, some rye bread or a piece of toast, a really nice kind of easy, quick meal. But having said that, if a bit of sugar is what you really, really want and really crave in that moment, have a little bit of sugar. Like I think there's a line we have to draw in nutrition where we've got what we deem to be really healthy and what we deem to be not healthy. And I think actually food isn't like that, and life isn't like that. And when you've got a baby and you've not slept and you really want a bit of sugar, I don't do it every single day, but now and again, just enjoy it and have it and get through is what I will say. I can preach and talk to you about all these things you should be eating, but at the end of the day, it's got to be realistic. So banana if you can, but if you really just fancy that hit, have it now and again.
And if you don't like bananas like me, what would be an alternative? Any kind of other fruits that you might kind of do instead of that?
You could have some nice berries. A lot of the berries are quite sweet, so you could do some nice berries. Some Greek yogurt actually as well is kind of really rich and filling. Right. You could do, at the moment we use an odd box, and they just gave us some mango. So again, I know it's not easy to cut up, but you could get some frozen mango. Again, the freezer comes in here.
That's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, some frozen mango. So it's already pre-cut for you. Just get it out, put it with some nice Greek yogurt, maybe a little bit of cinnamon on top. And if you've got something like a bit of honey, some really nice antimicrobial honey for your sweet kick, put that on top. Not too much, but a little bit to get that sweetness. And you've got a really nice snack to keep you going.
Oh, that sounds great. That's just making me hungry now. And that's the bit, is it? I'm thinking, you know what? I was living the lockdown dream yesterday. I got a click and collect supermarket tomorrow night. I'm like, I don't even need it quite yet for tomorrow night. I'm like, I'm taking it. And as you're talking, I'm literally thinking, right, frozen mango, frozen berries. I'm going to go in and add a little bit more stuff to my order, because who knows when I'll get again. But that's a little bit sad, isn't it, when you're living the lockdown dream and it's the Sainsbury's order that just literally says, yes, I've made it today. Lucy says thanks for that. Okay, brilliant. So I just want to ask you one quick question, because I know that obviously, you're a nutritionist. What's your favorite naughty meal?
Oh, good question. Well, you see, for a long time, and I can admit this now freely, but for a long time when I first met my husband, I kept trying to tell him that I was vegetarian. And I kind of got it in my head that I was like, oh, it's a good idea. This is like pre-nutrition training and pre-psychology training. So I was like...
And are you a vegetarian?
Say again, sorry.
Are you a vegetarian?
No, I'm not. I try and, I think, to be honest, a bit of everything is the way to go. So I'm kind of more Mediterranean diet kind of gal. But anyway, I was trying to cut down for ethical reasons, environmental reasons. And I just couldn't do it, basically. And I really fancied a burger. And I was never normally a burger kind of person, but I think just not being able to have it made me feel like I really want a burger. So my best friend and I one evening just went out and had a burger. So I became the vegetarian who also ate burgers from time to time. So I'm sorry if any vegetarians are listening. I don't mean to offend, but it became that thing where I was like, I'm not really plant-based. I am having some good quality meat here. So I really can't claim that I'm veggie and I'm this kind of environmental person. So a good burger, some nice sweet potato fries, lots of mayonnaise. That'll be my kind of cheeky Friday takeaway.
That sounds really good. Mine's a curry, always a curry, any kind of curry. I like a dirty curry, like those slightly greasy ones you get on Friday night with a big glass of wine. That's my kind of, oh yeah, go to. That makes me feel, puts me into a carb coma. I'm asleep on the sofa in an hour, but it makes me feel really great.
That sounds really, really tasty.
So we've got to, I don't know, we've still got to maintain, haven't we, at the moment in lockdown, some semblance of kind of normality and still able to kind of do things that we like and eat things that we like if we can get hold of that stuff. And so, so I've now switched to a frozen cook curry. There's a frozen shop in London called Cook, and they do quite a good curry. So now I'm bunging that in the oven on a Saturday night instead. And so trying to maintain that little bit of kind of routine as well about having that bit of a treat as well, because I'm sure you'd agree that, you know, we all need to have some treats, don't we, in our life at the moment? So cutting everything not the way to go, is it? Well, that was amazing. I mean, what really resonated with me was that comment about Vegas. I loved that. And I have learned so much. I'm just gonna have a quick look through the chat. No, we're good. No more questions. And so I just want to say a really big thank you. I have learned so much about nutrition in half an hour. That is completely amazing. It has blown my mind. I am so grateful for that. And I really, really say a big thank you for coming onto my channel and sharing your amazing tips, your greatness, and just your lovely approach to nutrition. And I'm going to circulate Beth's details in the group and on my Facebook page, so you can get in touch with her if you want to kind of take this any further. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, Claire. This has been such a pleasure to come on your channel and talk about nutrition. I love to talk about it. It's great having a lovely audience, and it's been so nice to connect with you and come and do this and just spend half an hour chewing the fat, literally, pun intended. All things nutrition. So, and I absolutely love what you're doing. I think it's amazing, and really, really happy to kind of meet everyone in the group as well. So it's been fab. Thanks for having me.
Oh yes, Beth is in the group. Don't forget. So if you didn't kind of pop on tonight with your question, and I'm sure if you pop the question in there, then she won't mind. I'm offering now without asking her, but I'm sure she won't. Brilliant. All right, well, guys, take very good care. Thank you, Beth. Take care, guys. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.